Hello, and welcome to Slapendipity, Hobos of Happy Slappy Town, special episode. My name is Devin, but you can call me Gibby, and Eric the Eric is not here. We talked about last episode how he was going on vacation, and how we weren't entirely sure how the series was going to go for the month or so that he's gone. This week we weren't able to record an episode, so I decided to do something special for you guys. Back on February 23rd, 2019, Eric came onto my YouTube channel and we did a live stream where we were just chit-chatting. You could say that that video was the pilot episode for what would eventually become this podcast. 5 years later, we turned that concept into Slapendipity. That live stream was about 2 hours long, but a lot of it included things like talking to my chat, going on random tangents, and some technical errors. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut that 2-hour live stream down into a podcast format, and it'll kind of be like a lost episode of this show. So for the remainder of the time, I hope that you sit back, relax, teleport yourself back to pre-COVID times, and just enjoy the extremely poor quality of our microphones. Thank you.
Again, my channel is about telling interesting stories about good ideas and bad ideas and stuff like that. And that can be about Chris, or that can be about a video game, or that can be about a movie, or that could be about a real-life interesting event, or that could be about urban legends, which is what we're doing right now. So, Eric, we actually live-streamed yesterday together on this same channel, and we were at our friend George's house, and we played some Jackbox.
Yeah, this is true.
That happened. And as we were leaving at nighttime,
At nighttime, that's the important part.
That is quite important. You slipped and you fell on some ice.
I fell on big ice and big concrete, all on my right side.
Right onto the concrete.
Yeah.
And I wanted to ask and make sure that you were okay.
My lungs and ribs, but I'm alive.
You're alive? Your lungs and ribs hurt, but you're alive. That's good to hear.
Yeah. Moving my shoulder in certain ways can hurt, but
and you have to lift really heavy things for work, so that's not a good thing.
No, so I had to call out from work because I was like, no, sorry. I know there's going to be kitty litter you want me to put on the top shelf. I can't do that.
So you work a night shift. You're actually leaving to go to work when you fell over, right?
Yeah, I had like an hour or so until I had to go to work, and then I fell, and I was like, well...
And so, while you are doing your job, while you are at your night shift, what are you usually doing?
Oh, no.
What did you decide was a good thing to do? You're like, I'm alone in this slightly creepy place at night. It's like 2 a.m, so what am I going to do? What did you decide to do, Eric?
I decided to listen to Japanese urban myths and horror podcasts. So, naturally, one of them was about dolls and calling you, and it gets closer to you every time you pick up the phone and listen. And I was like, oh no, this is terrifying. And so they got to the part where, here's how you can avoid it. Put your back up against a wall or something so it can't be right behind you. And I just looked at all the cat food behind me and I was like, this is fine.
You're protected from the evil, creepy Japanese killer doll by the cat food.
Yeah.
Okay, so the original name of this live stream was Urban Myths with Eric. So how many urban legends you got left that you haven't told me yet? You got a couple? You got a good one?
Not really.
Good.
Okay, I do have an urban legend, but it's not really like supernatural or anything. It's just kind of sad.
It's just kind of sad? Okay. Let's hear it.
So there is a boutique dressing room where you have to always be on guard, and it's more so applied to when you're traveling, where you're not paying attention, you're like in the changing room or whatever, and you just get kidnapped and you get sold into slavery or black market.
And is it
and
supposed to be
lose your
like in
organs.
Japan?
It's supposed to be the part of it was like, no, Japanese people don't leave Japan because France has some weird stuff going on. Oh, ooh.
So
And there were later on they were like, oh no, it can happen anywhere. Like, just be safe. So we're gonna scare you into being safe.
so it's if you go into a boutique, if you go into the changing room, you could get kidnapped. That's the myth.
Yeah, that's basically it.
Why do so many Japanese myths have to do with like trafficking?
Um,
You told me that
because
one,
it's
the Korean one with the rug. Tell,
yes.
tell that one again. That was a good one.
Okay, I'm gonna
You can
make it a
truncate it.
little bit shorter.
Yeah.
So the carpet one is there was a prince, and he was a prince. He didn't have to do anything. And one day he was just kind of out and about in the market, and he saw this beautiful woman, and he was like a Looney Tunes character. And he was like, "Hey, why don't we get married?" And she was like, "Hey, you're a prince, so no." And he was like, "What do you mean, no?" And she was like, "Well, you probably haven't had to do anything in your life ever. So you probably don't have a trade. So because of that reason, I say no. Come back to me when you have a trade and you can learn something, or have learned something." Um, so the prince goes back to his home, spends a few months to a year training, and he sends his servant back to the lady with a gift. The servant says, "Hey, here's a rug. Will you marry the prince now?" And she's like, he just bought this rug. I don't care about a rug. I mean, it's a really nice rug. It's the best rug I've ever seen, but like, money can get whatever he wants. And oh, no, 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 no. He didn't buy this. He made this for you. He learned how to make this rug, and um, whatever you call that textile stuff.
Textiles, yeah.
Yeah. So, well, shit, he has a trade, so yeah, I guess I'll marry him. So they get married. She teaches him how to read, because back in the
She taught him how
olden
to read?
times, she taught him how to
Okay.
read and write,
Okay.
because not a lot of people knew back then. So they get married, and then the king dies, and so they inherit the kingdom and the throne. And the new king, who used to be the prince, he kind of sucks at his job, and everyone's like, "Who's this jerk? Get him out of here." And the queen is like, "Listen, honey, you don't know everyone. You're disconnected. You should take a little trip and let me sort everything out as you become worldly." And he just goes, "All right, you're my wife. You never steered me wrong. So I'll do that." Then the king disguises himself as, a peasant. He doesn't take much of anything. And he's traveling around the marketplace. And so he hears that there's a priest comes along to take homeless people who, if they have a skill. And his journey was supposed to last a month. And
The
he was
prince's journey?
Yeah, the prince's
Okay.
journey was supposed to last a month. He was like a week in and already living on scraps. So he was like, "Yeah, all right, that sounds like a good gig." So he went to the priest. He's like, "Hey, I have a skill. Can I come with you?" And the priest was like, "Absolutely." And so they follow the priest. What they thought was gonna be their new home, like a temple, and it'd be nice, and it's shit.
Ooh.
There's guards whipping people. There's shit everywhere, and so the priest is like hands him over to like the most trusted guard or whatever, and like, okay, well, any trades. No one speaks up. So they're like, okay, we're gonna just harvest your organs then.
Yeah.
And so the newly king, the prince, is like, wait a minute, we can all do textile stuff. We can make a carpet. We can make the best carpet 4 times its weight in gold. And so you shouldn't kill us. And they were like, well, all right, sure, we got nothing to lose. We'll give you a few weeks to a month to make this carpet. So the king spends all his time making this carpet. Whenever he's not making, has other people make the carpet so they don't get in trouble. And he weaves this carpet, and it's finally done after about a month. And at this point, the new queen is thinking, it's been like almost 2 months, and my husband isn't back yet. And he said it would take 1 month, and he's, an honest guy. So that's weird. Margaret trying to find any gossip about, strange...
The queen is going to look for the husband who's now been gone for too long on his quest to figure out how... The king wanted to be among the people for 2 months,
yes.
But now he's been gone for too long because he was kidnapped and the queen's trying to find him.
Yes.
Okay. Anyway, you can continue.
So the queen goes into the town. Man's going, I have a carpet for 4 times its worth. Someone buy it. And the queen goes, ooh, that's a nice looking carpet. And she goes to look at it, and she's like, how much is it? And the guy's like, 4 times its weight in gold. And she's like, that's a lot. Unfold it. Let me see what it looks like. And so the man unfolds it, and then the queen immediately buys the rug upon it being unfolded.
Okay.
And so the king can only hope the queen will save him, having done everything he can. And then a few days later, the queen manages to find this, supposed temple where the king is being held hostage.
Mm-hmm.
And all the guards are freaking out. They're trying to fight, but they ultimately surrender. And the priest is like, how did you find us? This doesn't make any sense. This is stupid. And the queen's like, well, that sucks. Show me where the king is. Like, how dare you? And they get reunited. They kill all the bad guys, all that good stuff. And the queen's like, oh, see, I have saved you today. And the king goes, no, my dear, you didn't save me today. And she goes, what? And the king responds, you saved me years ago when you taught me that I should develop skills and to learn to read and write. So what had happened was that the king had woven, dear queen, I am trapped. Please come rescue me. We are at this location.
So the moral of the story was learn how to read and write because it's useful.
Yeah. Or just develop a trade. I mean, read and write especially, just a trade. Devin, do you think we should chat participate in seeing their affinity?
Ooh, you want to ask the chat some affinity questions?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we can do that.
I think that's an...
All right, Eric. You want to start this? You want to ask the chat if they can see the ghosts?
Yeah.
So first, I want to ask the chat. Press 1 if you believe in ghosts, and press 2 if you don't believe in ghosts, and we'll see what the general consensus is. And then Eric's going to do some tests that you can do at home. You can follow along and see if you can see the paranormal.
All right, it's pretty even so far.
Oh, the 2s are taking over.
Oh, the 2s are taking over.
So I don't believe in anything paranormal at all, and I never have. I don't believe in I don't think everything happens for a reason. I don't believe in ghosts. I don't believe in any supernatural beasts or Bigfoot or anything. I'm not one for conspiracies. Until I was attacked by a ghost in my father's house. And since then, I have been open to the possibility that ghosts exists. So I'm sort of a maybe, and Eric is also a maybe.
Yeah, it depends how scared I am.
If he hears a spooky spook in the night, then he might believe in ghosts. But so we're coming at this from the perspective of people who are like, yeah, we don't really believe it, but sometimes it might be fun too. So Eric's gonna ask some questions, and you can play along at home.
Yeah. Oh, people want details on the attack, Devin.
Details on the attack. So I guess I can tell my ghost story.
You don't. If you're scared, it's okay.
I'm not
you
scared.
Don't
I'm not scared. I have you here, Eric.
Oh,
So me and my younger brother were at my father's house, and my father was not home, and I was watching TV. And next to the TV is a cabinet, and in the cabinet is a glass door. So you can see inside, but it also sort of reflects everything going into it. So it's partially see-through, partially reflective. And behind the couch is a hallway leading back to all the bedrooms. So if you look into the cabinet, you can see a reflection of down the hallway. So I was sitting there, I was watching Jeopardy, I was eating dinner. My little brother was outside on the deck. He was actually grilling his dinner. He was having a hamburger. And I was just sitting there watching TV. And I turn my head, and I see in the cabinet a reflection of a face. And where the face would be, he would be, standing in the hallway behind me, right behind me. So I see the reflection of the face, and then I look back at the TV, and I do a double take, and the face is gone. And so then I turn, and I look down the hallway, and the door at the end of the hallway closes by itself. And I'm like, my first thought isn't ghost. My first thought is, wait, when did my dad get home? Because I just saw I saw a reflection in the glass, and then the door closed. So my dad must be home. But then I'm like, no, there's no way he could have got in. There's no way that my stepmom could have got in. So what's going on? So then my second thought is, okay, there's like a burglar here or something who was stealing stuff and just tried to sneak out, and we made eye contact through the mirror, so he ran away. So I grab a butcher knife out of the kitchen, and I go get my brother from the back porch. And I'm like, dude, you gotta come in here, help me. So we get some knives, and we go down the hallway, and we go to where the door is, and all the other doors are open except for this one, and it's my bedroom. So we open the door, and we brandish our knives, and we open the door, and of course there's nothing inside. We check the closet, we check under the bed. The windows don't open, and we're on the second floor, so it's not like, oh, this guy's just going to jump out. It's like, no, there's screens on the windows. So there's literally no one in the house. So me and my brother sit back to back with our knives brandished for the next half an hour until my dad gets home. So that's when I saw the ghost, and I told my dad the story. He's like, oh, ghosts aren't real, that's silly. And my stepmom's like, no, the ghost is real. Sometimes when I'm home alone, I'll hear doors slamming and pictures fall off the wall and stuff like that. It's really weird. So now me and her believe in the ghost, but my dad doesn't. So the next morning, I get up early because I have to go meet my older brother for a job. And so it's like 7 in the morning, and I'm the only one awake. And I'm in the kitchen, and there's this shelving rack that hangs from the ceiling, and there's a bunch of pots and pans up there, like metal pots and porcelain pots, lids and pans, and all that kind of stuff.
All that kitchen stuff.
So I'm filling a glass with water underneath the rack, like a couple feet away from the rack, actually. And something hits me in the head, and then there's a loud noise. And I'm like, whoa, and I freeze. I'm like, what just happened? And I look around. The lid to one of the porcelain pots had slid off of the shelf above me, hit me in the head, and then fell and clanged to the floor. And it didn't break, it didn't shatter, nothing happened. It bounced a couple times, and then landed on the floor and was just sitting there.
So
the way that it had been oriented on the pot on the shelf, nothing hit it, nothing touched the wall. There's no reason it should have slid off. From where it was, it's kind of weird that it slid as far as it did to hit me. The fact that it chose right that second to fall off the shelf, and the fact that it hit me in the head, and the fact that it didn't break, just freaked me out. So I take it, I put it on the counter, I drink my water and I just get out of there. I go off with my older brother to do our job, and I don't return for a couple hours. And when I get back, my dad's like, "Why is this porcelain lid out?" And I'm like, "'Cause the ghost attacked me. It knocked it off the shelf and it hit me in the head." So obviously there was perfectly reasonable coincidence-based explanations for all of this. It's like, yeah, I saw some weird light in the thing, and then the door decided to close itself, and then the next morning when I was
The
alone,
wind did it.
the wind happened to knock this thing off the shelf just when I happened to be standing right under it, and it hit me in the head. So yeah, I mean, it's not like a totally a supernatural thing, but yeah,
That was your
that was my
experience.
ghost attack.
And I guess that's as good a segue that we'll get. So, I have a couple tests for everyone to see if you have an affinity to the supernatural. And the word for this,
The supernatural.
uh,
Sorry, you cut
well,
out a little
not.
bit.
Oh, sorry. So there's a word for in Japanese for your affinity to the supernatural, and that's your Reikon. Reikan.
Raycon.
Yes, and
Okay.
that's just how strong your sense is.
Oh, you're cutting out a lot. This sucks.
I'm
I don't.
sorry.
I
I
don't
can
know.
plug my mic in and out.
No. Ooh, it actually makes it spookier. It's like, ooh, did the stream go dead, or did Eric go
Ooh.
dead? One
Oh.
one of the guys earlier said that he was gonna reach in through your shower drain and like grab your toes next time you take a shower.
No, stop that. No. I saw something, I was like, a shower drain, that's whatever. Now I know. First, I think we should do one of the easiest and stupidest tests there is.
Okay, here's the stupidest ghost test.
Look at your left hand with your nails facing you.
Okay, I'm doing it.
If your pinky finger
Mhm.
is reaches or exceeds your knuckle of your ring finger, you can see ghosts. So,
Mine reaches the second knuckle, and it's obviously significantly past the first knuckle.
yeah. I mean,
So that means I can see
it's
ghosts.
yeah. There you go. That explains why you got ghost attacked.
Who else there got long pinkies? Type in the chat that you got a long pinky. Then you're gonna get spooked by some ghosts too.
If your pinky didn't reach, then you have a weak affinity.
Yeah, so you got small if you got
Or
small
none.
pinkies or long ring fingers,
Or long
then
ring fingers.
you're
Sometimes
not
the
gonna see
world isn't
ghosts,
fair.
and you're gonna get married. Because I think that's what a long ring finger means.
I guess. Um, Also, to clarify, like, oh, I can see ghosts now versus, oh, I can't see any. There's a range. Like, oh, you're just a little on the weaker side. You're average. You have a strong affinity, and then ghosts are gonna come to you, type thing.
That's good.
Take your middle two fingers, your middle finger and your ring finger,
Middle finger,
connect
ring
them
finger.
to your thumb,
Okay.
and your pinky and index finger should be straight up.
Okay,
So
so it should look like a llama, like the Happy Llama song, right?
yes, it should look like that.
Okay.
Now you want to try to connect your index and pinky finger over your other two fingers. If you can get them touch, you have a strong affinity.
So if they
If
touch,
you,
then you have strong affinity.
yes.
Okay. I can do it on my left hand really easily.
What
And
about your right hand?
man, maybe.
Maybe. I can do it with both of my hands. So the next test is to clasp your hands together.
Okay, I can do it. Does that mean I can see ghosts?
No, that
Okay.
doesn't mean you can see ghosts.
Okay.
If your left index finger
Mhm.
is on top of or above your right index finger, you can see ghosts to an extent.
Mine is significantly lower.
What?
Mine's lower.
Hmm. Um. Alternatively, like, oh, that's easy. Let's get out of here. Now clasp your hands together. Do it the opposite way.
Okay.
And that should feel wrong.
It does feel wrong. It feels super wrong.
And that's how it is a double confirm.
So you take your hands, you put them together like you're praying, you interlock your fingers, and if your left hand is above your right hand, then it means that you see ghosts.
Left index finger.
Left index finger, yeah.
So I guess we'll do the best one now and leave our test at that.
Okay.
I want you all to close your eyes.
Everybody close your eyes. And if you peek, I'll know.
We'll know.
We'll know.
We're watching. We're like Santa Claus. Close your eyes and think of childhood home.
Close your eyes, think about your childhood home.
If you cannot think of the first home you lived in, do the most vivid memories you have of a house when you were a child.
Yeah, so just whatever the oldest house that you can remember.
So, you have to go in to your house and open every window you can.
So, like when I do this, I imagine myself starting in one room, and I open the windows, and I walk to the next room like it's a video game, like a walking simulator.
Yes, you should.
And now I'm opening the next window, and now I'm in the bathroom, like I had to open the door to get in here, and now I'm opening that window. Now I'm walking down the hall, there's some paintings on the left. I remember the house, it had yellow walls in that area. I'm opening another window. I'm passing by my dog, she's wagging her tail. I'm opening another window. There's two windows next to each other, next to the TV. Now I gotta go in the basement. There's some windows down there. There's some trees outside. And that's all the windows.
So once you have opened all of the windows you can, close reverse order.
Close the windows in the reverse order that I open them?
Yes.
Okay.
While still being as detailed as walking through hallways as you.
Okay, so I'm going to close the window that's right in front of me, the one in the basement. There's like 5 in the basement. I used to have a chalkboard in my basement. So I'm going to walk past the chalkboard, I'm going to close all the windows, going to go back upstairs. There's a laundry machine, the laundry machine is running. I'm going to go back in, I'm going to close all the other windows. Back down the hallway, back to the bathroom. Back to my first one, which was in my childhood bedroom. And all the windows are closed. Strangely,
Nice.
there were no cars outside. I didn't see any cars outside on the street.
Okay, that's fine. So, did you see anyone or pets
Any
as
person
you
or
were doing this?
I saw my
Person?
dog. My childhood dog.
So, the affinity spectrum goes as following. If you saw no one as you were going to the house, you have little to no Raycon.
Okay.
If you saw family, relatives, a pet, as they are, nice and healthy, or the last time you saw them, then you have some. If you saw them injured or looking sickly or pale, then you have, a little affinity. There's some stuff going on. If you see stranger.
So if you see a family member, then you have a little affinity. If you see a family member who might be sick or something, it's a little more. And if you see a stranger, then what?
If you see a stranger, that means a very high affinity.
You have
with
a very
your
high
Raycon.
affinity. Okay.
That person, now that you have done this, if you meet them in real life, are a ghost, most likely.
Ooh, spooky ghosts.
You have seen a ghost in your
memory.
Will most likely encounter them in real life. If you do, that will most likely be a ghost.
Okay. So that's the last ghost test.
Okay, I'm gonna read Squid. Her Bigfoot or his Bigfoot story is that they were in North Alabama with their family, went up to the hills, saw a big thing in the bush, could see it in full view, and saw its face.
You legitimately saw Bigfoot in Alabama?
That is what Squid Ant is claiming.
Well, hey, I'm 6'2". 6'2" doesn't mean that it's like necessarily Bigfoot. I am big. I am hairy. If I lived in Alabama, I might look like Bigfoot.
Devin, Gaming Highway asks if we have a.
If we have a
Theirs
guilty
is
pleasure game.
Fallout 4, and they have 3 months of in-game time, and doesn't even like it. That
Oh my god. Guilty pleasure. So that would have to be a game that I don't like that much, but that I play like constantly.
or that you're embarrassed that you play.
Ooh. Probably Counter-Strike. Because like
Really?
I don't love it. It's not like I complain about it all the time. I'm like, this game sucks, and then like 5 seconds later I'll be like, hey, so who wants to play Counter-Strike?
I don't think I really have a guilty pleasure game. I haven't been playing video games that much recently. I
You
would
just
say
marathoned Kingdom Hearts 3.
no. That's not a guilty pleasure to me, though. Just pleasure.
Just
I'd say maybe the Hyperdimension game. Actually played them.
Oh yeah,
but
you played
I don't.
Hyperdimension Neptunia. I forgot.
I play Hyperdimension Neptunia.
Oh man, the game that launched 1,000 dimensional merges.
Oh no.
Oh man. Yeah, when Chris said that to him, hyperdimensional Neptunia is like the Bible to Christians and like the Quran to Muslims, and that he needs money so that he can buy more hyperdimensional Neptunia games,
My
and he has to
gosh.
play them.
There's one, I don't know exactly what the premise is, but I think they're just like they're like playing as standard RPG roles, like one is in wizard robes as opposed to like their normal outfits, and I think they're playing a game. I haven't really looked into it because that's the point when I was like, I have too many of these, and it takes 40 hours to beat. But my goodness, you don't need all the hyperdimension games, it's fine.
What is the most disturbing thing you think Chris did? The most disturbing thing that I know Chris did is masturbate and have sex with someone who was not there while singing All Star and taping it, because I've seen the tapes.
Oh, ew.
So that would be the most disturbing thing that Chris has ever done, as far as I'm concerned. Before Chris had sex with Magic Chan and sang All Star, he just peed on the floor in his bedroom.
Oh, okay.
Chris is not housebroken. Oh my god. My dog is smarter than Chris Chan. Freezing his semen to save it for future use is also a disturbing thing Chris did. That's because he has to fulfill the prophecy and have a daughter named Crystal.
Oh my gosh. For the record, I do not follow along on the Chris Chan stuff.
Yeah.
My exposure, and by golly.
Yeah, Eric isn't really into Chris Chan, so he's hearing a lot of this stuff for the first time. So Chris had a vision where he believed that he was told by like God or something that he had to have a daughter and name her Crystal, and that his daughter. So in his vision, he saw his daughter and she was white. So that's why he would only date white people. Is because in order to fulfill the prophecy, he had to have a white daughter. And so this like guided his life for many years. Was like the fulfillment of his prophecy that he had in a quote unquote vision. And then he had the vision of himself as a woman in Woodstock, and that's now what made him transgender. So it's like he's just had I don't like they must be dreams, right? He's just like dreaming things or having daydreams, and he's turning them into prophecies, and he's living his life in accordance with them, and that's like terrifying. Because like what if he has a dream that like tells him to do something dangerous?
Is it true? Kelly Andrews says he filled his freezer with a container of his own stuff with his food. Do you know if
I have not heard that story, but I wouldn't doubt it. Again, because he would feel like he has to. Obviously, he would drink it, but I don't know if he would freeze it.
No.
You've heard that story, right, Eric?
What?
I don't have to tell it again.
Which story?
With the Fanta?
No.
The orange Fanta?
I don't think I know about the orange Fanta.
You know how we've been debating for a couple days about how to pronounce Fanta?
Yes.
I say Fanta and George says Fanta and stuff. So that started because I had to talk to Chris about Chris about the Fanta incident, and people in my comments were like, "No, Gibby, it's not pronounced Fanta, it's pronounced Fanta." That's why we've been talking about that. So the story is that Chris got it in his mind that semen had to be recycled. You can't waste it.
Oh,
So
no.
if it's not going to go into a woman, then it needs to be put back into the man's body. So he would ejaculate into a cup of orange Fanta and then drink it, and there's a video of him doing this.
That's disgusting.
Yes, it is disgusting.
Apparently, there's video.
There's a video of where there's multiple cases of frozen semen in the freezer.
Yeah.
Well,
Thank you, Squid Ant, for that
Welp.
terrifying knowledge.
He read in the Bible that a man's seed should not be spilled unless it's in a woman. Okay, so he's able to masturbate because if he drinks it, technically it's not spilled. Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
I can do a quick horror from one of the other myths. Once upon a time, there was a little girl. She hid from her mother.
A girl hid
Doll.
from her mother?
Huh?
A girl hid from her mother?
Yeah, in the elementary school, the third stall.
In the bathroom.
And her mother killed her in the stall.
And then now she haunts a bathroom?
And now she haunts the third stall in any public bathroom. And you can summon her, and sometimes she'll kill you, sometimes she'll just run. Depends on her mood. The recommended strategy is just to apologize, and she won't mess with you. It instead of knocking on a urinal, and same effect.
Narrow Legacy asks how to make a tulpa. Well, this is kind of a horror, creepy live stream thing, so I guess we could talk about tulpas for a minute.
What's a tulpa?
A tulpa is this is like the legend, right? The legend is that there were some monks who took vows of silence, and they were like, "Hey, we're gonna take a vow of silence, and we're gonna focus on creating a separate consciousness within our own brain, and we can talk to them and be friends with them." And so the same way that you know how your left and your right brain are segmented, and if they were cut, then you'd have two different brains in your brain.
Right. Yes.
Totally explaining this really well.
Yeah, I understand enough.
So the idea is that you could segment your brain like a hard drive, and have another consciousness running inside of your brain. And so that's what a tulpa is. And so if you have one, then you can talk to them, and they can have ideas that are separate from you. And you can talk to them, and you can see them, and you can touch them, and if you touch them, your brain will actually send a signal like you're touching something for real. Like it has a texture to it, and it'll offer resistance and stuff like that. But if you apply pressure, then it'll just phase through it. So tulpas are real, and you can actually do it, and it's not good. Well, I mean, it can be not good, because if you focus on doing it for too long, then you'll basically just be followed around by the ghost of a person.
Still is kind of blurry on it. Zachary Cutter says think astral projection. Is that fairly accurate?
Astral projection is more like your own self leaving your body. This is more like a second version of you leaving your body.
Okay, but other than that, pretty similar. Okay, that's
essentially a 3D delusion. Yes, it's a bit imagine a hologram. It's basically a hologram that only you can see, and it can think for itself. So tulpa is a nobody from Kingdom Hearts.
Wait.
A little bit. That's from Narrow Legacy 87. You're now Eric's favorite person.
You're now one of my favorites. See, we'll talk one day about it.
This was originally supposed to be a Kingdom Hearts stream, but then we decided we don't want to spoil Kingdom Hearts 3 for anyone, so we'll just talk about urban legends instead. How do you and Eric know each other? We went to middle school together.
Yeah, that's kind of it.
Yeah.
Just kind of hung out since then.
We had friends in common. The first thing we really bonded over was he lent me his copy of Wind Waker.
We were in gym class walking around, and I was talking to you and another friend. And I was like, "Oh yeah, I was playing D&D with some other friends." And you guys were like, "Can we join? Oh my god!"
Yeah, I want to play Dungeons and Dragons. How dare I not be involved in Dungeons and Dragons? Yes.
So that's how I.
That's how you remember it.
Sessions.
Yeah, but really, we had friends in common, and we had a lot of interest in common, and so we just started hanging out, and then we would hang out one-on-one. And Eric's a super nice guy, so we became really good friends. D&D, this live stream is tackling a lot of topics. I like D&D. That's coming from the same person who said the thing about the nobodies. Okay, so it's currently midnight, so I'm going to give it another 30 seconds to let questions come in. If there's anything good, I'll answer it, but after that, we're going to have to cut it. Squid Ant would listen to a podcast of me talking about spooky stuff. Me and Eric might talk about this kind of stuff.
Yeah, we could make it a thing.
Yeah, I know. Eric's been cutting out a little bit. That's sort of why I'm stopping him to recap occasionally. All right, goodbye, everyone. This has been super awesome. I'm glad we figured out how to get this work. And I apologize to anyone who watched my earlier live stream because it was a total mess. But this has been awesome.
It was great chatting with y'all. Hope y'all had a fun time. Get spooked from earlier ghost stories.
And if you like Eric, then maybe he'll come on in the future at some point.
Oh, I'd be honored.
Bye.